All right, guys, today we're going to talk about something that is not necessarily breaking news. It actually was maybe about a month ago, some documentation leaked out that apparently shows some of the different drivetrain plans for the Corvette and the C8 in the future. And they show a Z06, a Grand Sport, a Zora, and then the Stingray, of course, is what it is. Everyone knows that. But now it's really got me thinking about what I wanted to get as a C8. Now, if you remember about a year ago when they first launched the thing, I said I was going to get one. I just didn't know when or how or anything. And then this strike happened in December. And then this thing that's happening in the world that we're not supposed to talk about on YouTube is happening right now and slowing everything down. And that whole idea of maybe I'll wait and see a couple of them on the dealer lot and then maybe buy one here early in 2020, that's not happening at all. So now it's got me thinking towards the future. You know, now it gives me the idea of, well, maybe I want to get this Z06, maybe I want to get this Grand Sport. So I need some help deciding. So I wanted to compare the two. I wanted to compare them in this video and figure out what's best for me. So first of all, I want to say I haven't put down any deposit. I've been talking about it for at least 6 months now. Here's the deal. If I can get 5,000 likes on this video right now, 5,000 likes, I will, no games, I will put a deposit down on either a Z06 or a Grand Sport. No questions asked. I will put one down. I will get my place in line. I will need help from you guys to tell me who to talk to, what dealership, you know, where at, who's a good guy. I mean, I know a couple of them obviously on YouTube and a few others, but I need some advice from you guys, not just from people I find online. So 5,000 likes. I promise no games, no gimmicks here, but I want to make sure that people watching this video would actually love to see one of these cars come to my channel. So I need to replace the C6. Been talking about that for a while. The C6 is now 15 years old. I've had it for 10. I need to replace it. And the C8 is really the Corvette that I've been waiting for all along. All right, guys, now we get to break it down for you and see what's the real difference between this Z06 and this Grand Sport. You know, this is, again, not breaking news. This information was leaked, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago. Then Haggerty got their name on it somehow and it went all over the world. So not breaking news, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, maybe now, this is the first time you've heard of it. Great, if it is. But what I really want to do is compare the two, because as I've thought about it for the past 2 months, I think one of these is what I'm going to get, rather than trying to somehow get a 2020 on a dealer lot, or I don't know what I could have done with a 2021 Stingray. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna bite the bullet and put down a deposit on one of these. I need to decide which one. I think I can go really early on a 2023. There's already some people with some pretty long lists for the 2022 Z06, but let's break down the two models. So the 2022 Z06 is expected to have the 5.5 liter dual overhead cam flat plane crank engine. This is gonna be pretty much the same engine that you see in the C8R. The 2023 Grand Sport is going to have pretty much the same engine as you see in the Stingray. However, they're going to slap on a hybrid system, which is going to add about 105 horsepower or so, they say, to make it 600 total system horsepower, compared to what they're saying is going to be 650 on this new Z06. I'm a little skeptical on the Z06 at 650 horsepower. I'm not an engineer. However, what I do know is that all those numbers do equate to a maximum amount of horsepower, whether it's displacement, RPM, compression ratio, all those things. I'm not an engineer, but it is a little outside the realm of normal to be able to get 650 horsepower out of a normally aspirated 5.5 liter V8. So if they expect to get 650, I would really expect there to be something naturally aspirated. I don't think they're going to put turbos or a supercharger on there, so I'd be very surprised if they don't just come in less than 650. 600 might be pretty good. So now we're thinking different years, different name monikers, different engines, but similar power. And I would actually expect somewhat similar performance as far as power is concerned. So what else do we get? I think it's pretty clear based on some of the signals we've gotten that the Z06 is going to be much more track focused, much more similar to the C8R, and the Grand Sport's going to be much more similar to the Stingray, but just with a few extra goodies, maybe more of a Grand Touring type of model of the Corvette, where the Z06 is going to be a little more extreme with that high revving, high screaming engine. I would expect both to have a wide body kit of some sort. However, I would expect that Z06 body kit to be maybe a little bit different, a little more track and race focused. I think it'll come with the PDR standard, for example. It'll have more track focused goodies, whereas the Grand Sport will be much more road focused with its goodies, you know, with the mag ride and a few other things, where the Z06 might have a more less adjustable but more extreme dampening system than the Grand Sport. So let's think of the price, right? I think this is the part that really kind of gets me, right? So I was predicting a 650 to 700 horsepower Z06 with a supercharger or twin turbos, and just knowing what they're pricing the base model at, I was expecting them to price this one at about $89,000. They do a pretty good job at marking it up right at about $25,000 to go from the base model to the Z06. Well, I think in 2 years, the base model won't be $59,995 anymore. Add $25,000 to that, $89 sounds like a good round number to just get it barely under $90,000. Now, this document and a few other documents we've seen now are kind of expecting that Z06 to be closer to $85,000 rather than $89,000. And I think a lot of people expected that Stingray to come in at about $70,000, and it came in at only $60,000. So, and I think that means there is something to be said about some of these leaked documents and these rumors coming out of GM, at least for the C8. Most have been pretty true. It's pretty striking to see that. So what should we all expect on this 2022 model? First of all, Chevy hasn't announced anything yet, but I think they will probably either later this year, late 2020, but probably most likely to be early 2021 when they announce it, maybe at the Corvette Bash. Hopefully they'll have a real one in real life next year, not a virtual version like they did this year. And that sometimes they will announce things at that event. So I would expect them to announce it at that event. That's well before production starts for the 2022 model. So they'll probably start production a little early in 2022, maybe in like June or something like that. And so we might see some of these Z06s on the road in mid to late, maybe third quarter 2021. That's awesome. I think that they'll be priced right at $84,995. That'll be the base price with delivery, squeak it just under $85. So you probably see maybe $83,900 plus delivery, something like that. I think it'll have 600 horsepower or maybe 625 at the max and be a naturally aspirated 5.5 liter dual overhead cam, flat plane crank engine. The engine's going to be amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be an amazing engine. But I don't think they can get 650 horsepower out of it without slapping a supercharger on it. If they do put a supercharger on it, then everything I just said doesn't matter anymore, and it'll be 700 horsepower. Easy. Like that's not even an argument. So they might do that and surprise everybody, but I think 80% chance they're going with that naturally aspirated 5.5, 600 to 625 horsepower. And I think it's just going to be amazing, more track focused monster. So it'll be a little bit leaner as far as options and as far as other things go, but really focused on the track. And I think that they're doing all of that to keep that cost relatively low so they can get it under that 85 or even under $100,000 in cost. But I think this will be the C8 Corvette to have. I think if you look at the C6s, the ZR1s really aren't as fabled as the Z06s and the C6 model. And so I think this will be similar to that. I think people are going to love the Zora, don't get me wrong, and they're going to love the Grand Sport, but I think this Z06 is just going to be an amazing car. It's going to be the C8 to have. Now, on the other hand, I do still want to consider the Grand Sport. What should I expect from a Grand Sport? I think timeline will be the same, but just a full year shifted back. So you might not hear about it till early 2022 officially. And then they'll start production in mid-2022, and then quarter 3 of 2022, they'll start coming out with the 2023 models. I think pricing-wise, it'll be at about $75,000. Now, think about this. That'll be 3 model years into the C8 run. So there will be marginal price increases. I think there's going to be a marginal price increase mid-year 2021, and then a little one 2022, and then a little in 2023. And I think it'll be about $15,000-ish, maybe $20,000 bump up from the base price. So let's say they go from now at 60, they go up to 65 is the base price in 2023. Add on $10,000, that makes it 75, simple as that. So that means there'll be one at 65, one at 75, and one at 85, maybe 87 come 2023 for the Z06. I think that car is going to have the 6.2 liter V8 with some sort of electrification option of some sort. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do that or what it's going to be. I don't know if they're going to put, a small motor on each wheel. I don't know any of that yet, but I think some of these rumors are going to hold true. But it'll also be otherwise naturally aspirated, similar to the 6.2 liter that is in the Stingray. I think it'll have some goodies as far as appearance. It'll have the wide body, have a different set of wheels, but I think it'll be less track focused. It'll be more street focused. I think they're going to go track focused on the Z06, street focused on the Grand Sport. So they probably won't have this massive wing, and they won't have as extreme of brakes and wheel options as they may have on the Z06. So I think that's something to look for, in a big difference between the 2022 Z06 and the 2023 Grand Sport. Ultimately, which one's for me? I don't know. As much as I say that Z06 is the C8 to have, I think you can get a lot of the same performance and a lot of the same looks from the Grand Sport and be much cheaper. I would be surprised if they don't do 0 to 60 at around the same time. It'll be, mid twos either way, right? You're looking at both of them being right around 600 horsepower. It's not like we're looking at a 200, 250 horsepower difference. It'll be about the same. So about the same car, about the same horsepower, and the Grand Sport's cheaper. So there is something to be said about the Grand Sport, even though I think the Z06 will be the one to have. The Grand Sport will get you a lot of bang for the buck. So ultimately, I need your help. Like I said at the beginning, get me 5,000 likes on this video. And what does a like mean? First of all, a like doesn't make me feel super good. What a like means is it tells the algorithm in YouTube that this video is worth showing to other people. That's all it does. I don't really care about the likes that much, but what I do care about is being able to show this video to other people and getting their feedback and getting them to vote on which one I should get and giving them the option to give comments and stuff like that. And if I get to that 5,000, I will no doubt put a deposit down on one of these two cars. No games, no fluff, no jokes. 5,000, and I will go put a deposit down, and I will replace this C6 with a C8, either a Grand Sport or a Z06. If you're not already a subscriber, or this is the first time checking out, I invite you to subscribe if you'd like to. And please comment down below two things: which one I should get, and which dealer or salesperson should I get it from. Anyway, until next time, adios. Okay, I'll be in there in a minute. I'll be back in a minute, okay?